What is going on, guys? This is Daniel, and today I'll be breaking down the Summer League performance of the New York Knicks' Kristaps Porzingis, the 4th overall pick in the 2015 NBA Draft. So, let's get right into it. Let's start with offense and his ability to set a ball screen and roll to the basket, and here you see he does a nice job of rolling to the rim and drawing a foul. He's better in space. When it gets congested in traffic, as you see here, it's obviously going to be tougher for him to go up and finish. Nice job here of setting the ball screen, rolling, and then kicking it out to a shooter when the defense collapsed. And when the defense does not let him go all the way to the basket here, he nicely short rolls it and hits a short bank shot. I definitely like his potential as a ball screener because he can roll to the basket and finish, maybe catch alley-oops because of his athleticism, and also because of his shooting ability, pick and pop for threes, which he did a few times in Summer League. In the Knicks' triangle offense, Porzingis will be spending a good amount of time at the high post, so let's talk about that. And he settled for a bit too many face-up jumpers for my taste. Those are not the most efficient shots. And one reason for that is because at this point, he's a very limited scorer. He doesn't have many moves. He often has to settle for fadeaways. He's not necessarily crafty. And in general, he's just pretty weak and pretty raw in terms of creating for himself, especially from the high post at this point. And while he is a limited scorer, he did show some promise. Here's a nice drive and he draws a foul. And here from the perimeter he drives and gets an and one. And like his face-up game, his post game is pretty raw at this point. And a lot of that has to do with strength, but also his lack of moves. This is a good example of him simply not really able to do much as a scorer. So before the draft, a lot of people, myself included, criticized his passing, but it was better than expected in this Summer League. He showed good touch on his passes, operating from the high and low post, making solid passes, and here on a fast break, he makes a nice pass on the move. He of course is still raw, and here you see he makes a careless pass in the backcourt leading to a turnover, but his passing was better than I expected, so that's a plus. Let's talk about Porzingis' finishing ability, and he did a nice job for the most part, showing good touch around the basket, and here is a nice finish with his left hand. And here he goes up to convert the alley-oop. But one thing I noticed was that he was consistently dropping passes, and that prevented him from finishing plays at times, and here are just two examples, though on this play he does a nice job of corralling the pass and throwing it home. His shooting was about what I expected. He has a nice stroke and made a few mid-range shots. He only took 5 threes and he made one of them, so it remains to be seen how involved he'll be shooting threes, especially in his rookie season, but he certainly shows promise as a shooter. So offensively, he projects as a good shooter, and he should be a diverse ball screener as he can roll to the basket and pick and pop. His passing was better than I expected, and he showed good touch around the basket. Now, he's a very limited scorer from the low and high post, and at this point he really lacks many moves, and he has poor hands from what I saw in Summer League, which can prevent him from finishing at times. Now I gotta be honest, I really don't like his fit in the triangle. The triangle requires him to make decisions, to be a quality scorer from the low and high post, where he would really thrive in a system, a pick and roll offense, where he can roll to the basket and catch alley-oops, and pick and pop for threes. So at this point, I really think he'll struggle a lot in the triangle offense. Let's move on to defense, and let's first talk about rim protection, which is very important for a big man, and he was a mixed bag, but here he does a nice job of rotating from the weak side and forcing a runner. Again, he nicely steps out on the drive and forces a pass out. Though like I said, he was a mixed bag, and here he doesn't rotate at all, giving up a layup. And here he could have stepped up more to contest the shot. Though when he does step up to contest shots, which he does here, his size and length can really affect shots. One thing I noticed was he often doesn't step out far enough. Here he's contesting the layup, but it's in the restricted area. He should have stepped out a few feet further to make it a tougher shot. Here, though he is contesting, the player is already inside the restricted area and makes the shot. While in the NBA he will get overpowered at times because of his strength, he does a nice job here of embracing the contact and forcing the miss. Though when he protects the rim here, he doesn't go straight on, letting the offensive player slip by him, and then it becomes a foul. Now let's talk about his perimeter defense, his face-up defense, which at times looked really good, and here he blocks Kyle Anderson, though on the same play, he falls for a pump fake and fouls him. He shows great mobility, he moves his feet well, excellent lateral quickness. He did have trouble with Julius Randle though, as Randle's combination of quickness and strength gave Porzingis trouble a few times. Obviously, he fared better against slower players, and here he stays in front of Jahlil Okafor getting the block. But as expected, quicker players do give him trouble, and here James McAdoo blows by him. Defending on the perimeter here, he shows nice instincts getting in the passing lane, anticipating, and going in for the dunk. Though questionable basketball IQ and discipline here, the Knicks are up 3 late, but he fouls a 3-point shooter unnecessarily. Moving on to post defense, and he really only got challenged by Okafor, no other player really tried to post him up, and he did get overpowered because of his lack of strength at times, but he also did have a nice play later where he gets the block on Okafor and then draws the offensive foul. Porzingis also tried to front the entry pass a few times, and here he nicely gets a steal, but on this play he gambles and gives up a dunk. His pick and roll defense was also a mixed bag. A few times he just didn't do a great job containing the ball, he wasn't assertive in terms of stopping the ball, and here you see D'Angelo Russell scores on him way too easily. But he showed flashes and definitely had his good moments as well. He of course has great size and mobility to excel down the road in this area, and I also liked, and this is a good sign, he took good angles containing the ball, and here you see he contains the ball and recovers to the roll man to get the block. Very impressive. So, he shows good potential as a rim protector because of his size, length, and his mobility, and he has good lateral quickness to defend face-ups and pick and rolls. But as you saw, he's pretty inconsistent at this point. He may rotate expertly on one play, but on the next he'll be nowhere to be found. He also of course lacks strength to defend well in the post, and at times he shows questionable discipline, meaning he'll fall for pump fakes and gamble for steals. He certainly projects as an above average defender, and how good he'll be will depend on how much stronger he gets and how consistent he'll be in the areas I brought up. So before the draft, one of the big concerns about his game was his rebounding, and unfortunately in Summer League it looked no better. He played 82 minutes and only grabbed 13 rebounds, which is good for 5.7 rebounds per 36 minutes, which is not a good rate. Strength of course holds him back at times, and here he gets overpowered on a free throw. He also misses box outs, and here he lets number 0 sneak right in. Again, on a free throw he doesn't really box out and lets his man sneak in there. And he just doesn't haul in rebounds that should be his. Whether it's because of his poor hands or for whatever reason, there are many rebounds every game that should be his that aren't. In 82 minutes, he only grabbed 2 offensive rebounds, but the stats underrate him here because there were several instances where he didn't get the offensive rebound but drew a foul because he was pretty aggressive inside. So his offensive rebounding, not that bad. He showed good hustle at times, going after the ball as you see here. But his instincts aren't the best on the boards, and he's not explosive going after the boards. So he did do a nice job of showing good fight on the offensive boards. But as I mentioned, he'll miss box outs, he gets overpowered due to his lack of strength, he doesn't have the best hands on the boards, and also he's a pretty weak standstill jumper. He's a good athlete in general, but in terms of just exploding off the ground for a rebound without a running start, he's below average in my estimation, and it showed in some of these clips. Well, there you have it guys. I'm honestly pretty skeptical. I was before the draft on Porzingis' game, and I don't think he's the best fit with the Knicks triangle offense, so I'm still skeptical. Thanks for watching. Breakdowns of Moutier and Russell's Summer League performances coming up, and see you next time.